Never been on my own. I want to thank the fine rock band Thunder for allowing me to sing along to Love Walked In. Love has walked in, and always, love is Brett Barney to me, my fine co-host, Mr. Brett Barney. Also, we want to thank the on again, today off, Tyler Maynard, who is running everything from our offices at Oxygen Financial in Alpharetta, our fine studios. And in a second, I would like to introduce to you our fine guest. Brett Barney, it's good to see you, sir. I wish I could see you in person, but we're in a pandemic. I did get a shower today. Had I not, I had a full beard. The hair is starting to gray a little bit. And, it's a pandemic, for Christ's sakes. And I look forward to the day I don't call it a pandemic. I'm going to start calling it a disease situation. Ooh, I like it. Just thought of that off the top of my head. We're in a disease situation, but right now we'll put my readers on because we have procured ourselves a most interesting guest here today on the Yeah Come On show, which is brought to you by OxygenFinancial.com, Circle285.com, and Ridgeline Counseling with Dave Markwell. All right, today's guest is a Southern boy built from the big city and the main stage. It all started for him back in the 70s during a filming of CBS show 30 Minutes, when he was named the ugliest man on the University of Alabama's campus by a gaggle of penthouse pets. From there, he moved to L.A., where he started cutting his teeth in stand-up, working out of the Comedy Store, and then moved on to writing TV shows like The Love Boat, Archie Bunker's Place, and The Nanny. Although stand-up and breakfast is more his thing, to basically sum up his career, a marquee outside of clubs once read his name along with Sam Kinison, Andrew Dice Clay, Howie Mandel, and a blind guy and his dog. Please welcome Ernie Kennamer. Ernie! Ernie, I don't know what's true and what's not true. If you were named the ugliest man on the campus of Alabama, it's only because they didn't see Brett Barney. Not your fault. Not your fault.
Brett doesn't look that ugly at this point in time. Of course, I am about cataracts and stuff like that in my eyes. It was a popularity contest. I really wasn't that ugly. But
okay.
I was. Yes, I was. Okay. I was ugly.
I will give you, right now looking at you, I will give you a 6 on a scale of 1 to 10 until I get to know you. You could go up. Right now, I've got you at a 6, which is high for sex. I'm giving you a 6 for sex. But I think we'll see if it goes up or down because personality plays a lot into it. If you're as entertaining as I think you are and as witty as I think you are to be a writer on those fine programs that I adored and watched, especially The Love Boat, then, sir, I might be talking to a perfect 10. I just want to say it.
I tell you what, I don't know about a 10, but in my prime, I was about a 9.25.
Well, I like that.
Gay, but you turned me gay.
No doubt.
You might, Ernie, I might want to have you. You could be my first gay relationship because I got to tell you, man, we could talk about The Love Boat all the time. I mean, love won't hurt anymore.
You know, you might be my last gay relationship.
Well, damn, who knew?
4 years.
I like it. I like it. Well, welcome to the Yeah Come On show. I'm Southside Steve. That is my co-host, Brett Barney, as I mentioned before, and our producer, Tyler Maynard, who I know you were talking with earlier. We're glad to have you on. We're in 3 different locations, so you make a 4th. Where are we talking to you from? Are you in L.A. right now?
No, I'm in Hoover, Alabama.
Back home in Alabama.
I'm in Hoover, Alabama.
All right. And that's where you make your home. And I just want to say cheers. I have no choice. I have no bias. When you don't have a college degree, you don't hate on others. So here's to Alabama and those with a degree on this fine program. Cheers. Cheers.
Yes, yes.
Now, I guess I'd love to start with we'll start with you in college before you move out to LA. The Penthouse Pets, they voted. So that's a true thing. You were given an award. You were known in Alabama and as the ugliest guy. What year was this?
1979. What happened was it was the fall of homecoming week, and we had the Penthouse Pets out in front of our house doing they were doing a car wash. And the show called 30 Minutes filmed the car wash, and they filmed the ceremony that night, which every fraternity and sorority and everything on campus nominated a guy to dress up like a female and parade your stuff around. And according to the Corolla, which is the school annual, I overwhelmed the judges to win. So I figured I was pretty ugly.
All right, so you weren't being a dude, you were being a chick. So let's just say you're a real ugly woman.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I was.
I can handle that. That's all right. That's not so bad, okay? Because you weren't being a dude, so I don't take that as a shot. I think I would come across like a Caitlyn Jenner myself. I think I'm kind of close. I think I'm hotter than Bruce. I would come across that. Brett Barney looks like he would be the housewives from that 70s show. So a lot of us have a certain look. That's just how I see you, Brett, if you shave the facial hair. I'm not saying that. Yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. All right, well, let's get –
the mom from that 70s show?
Yeah.
I can't – okay, I can kind of see it.
No, it's there. I have never thought about it till now, but if you look at Brett and you kind of squint your eyes, he
what
looks
are you
like –
talking about?
You look like the mom from that 70s show if you had the hair and the wig.
I look more like Liz.
Yeah, I see it. Trust me, I see it. All right. Now, getting back to our special guest here. Interesting last name. I don't know another Kennamer. Kennamer. And you I'm trying to think if I know you because you've obviously done some stand-up. You went out to L.A. What year did you find yourself out in L.A., Ernie?
Back in 79, me and my best friend in college, we decided to drive cross country. And we had a 5-gallon gas tank in the back of my car because we had heard there's a gas shortage and they were on rationing in LA. So we drove cross country with gas in the back of the car, and both of us, and he smoked at the time, and we just didn't even think nothing about it. He was going to the John Davidson, Florence Henderson, Kenny Rogers School of Singing on Catalina.
Oh my God, that's a thing? That's awesome.
So he was spending 6 weeks there, so I went out, and I had always wanted to try stand-up, so I auditioned at the Comedy Store on a Monday night.
Dude, that's fantastic. And they say even versus singing or anything, nothing's harder than getting on stage to do about 5 minutes of comedy. I've been put in that position, but not necessarily in, walking into a comedy store or like you did, to do it. But I did it here at the Punchline. I've gone inside the Fox, but I always had an angle. And my radio career was the angle. So I was up there as kind of like, Southside Steve. I opened up also for Charlie Sheen. He asked me after an interview I did with him when he was doing his Tiger Blood deal. That was at the Fox. Then I opened up for, what's his name? The Jewish comedian that died that ripped on everybody so hard. Help me out, Brett.
Letterman.
No, go back. 70s guy, 60s, 70s guy.
George Carlin?
Yeah, George Carlin's who I opened up for, which makes me like a dip-ass that I couldn't even think of his name. But he was here in town, and we'd advertised, and they said, do you have a local jock that would like to come out and intro him and mess around? And I'm like, hell yeah, I'll do that. So I was on stage for about 10 minutes, got to hang out with him backstage, and, those were my moments. But that's so much different. I was banging 7-gram rocks and well, thank you. That's so much different than being on a marquee and people coming, possibly to see you, not being surprised by you knowing you're there for an intro, to what they want to see. You're there to perform, and I think that adds a whole lot more pressure on you. So you were new, and you go out there. Obviously, you were good at it, I'm assuming.
Well, I was young. They liked me, but of course back then, you get about 3 minutes, and they would invite you back the next Monday, and you basically, I stayed around for a couple extra days, and I ended up getting robbed, so I didn't have any money. And this is like, I had an Amoco credit card to get back to Alabama, and that was it. I had no cash whatsoever.
So I hope there were Amoco gas stations in L.A. because I know I'm a BP man myself, and I don't see BPs in certain states. I hope you were okay coming home.
I did. I was able to use that 5 gallons of gas we had in the back of my Monza, my 78 Monza. I went back to college, finished college, and went to work in as a salesman for my uncle's heavy machinery company. And then in 1981, I said, screw it. I wasn't through, so I drove back to LA, and I moved out there. I had everything in the back of the car.
All right. Well, when you moved back out there, that's cool. Is that when you were able to open up for people like Sam Kinison, Andrew Dice Clay, and I remember his heyday, or what I consider, kind of a prop guy, Howie Mandel. He was kind of like hyper off the wall. I wasn't as much of a Howie guy as I was an Andrew Dice Clay. I think he was more up my alley.
Yeah, Andrew Dice Clay, who actually was Jewish, but he played an Italian guy. But it took me 2 years before I was able to actually make any money at all.
Wow.
I auditioned all the time, and I was a regular, but I would, you didn't make no money. It was like a couple of years after the big strike where everyone separated, like Shanlin and Richard Lewis weren't allowed anymore. Letterman was allowed at the Comedy Store. Richard Lewis was not. Gary Shandling was, but Jay Leno wasn't. And it was kind of a big split. And you could go to different clubs, and the guys that used to be at the Comedy Store who didn't get along anymore with Mitzi Shore, Pauly Shore's mama, they were doing their own thing at other clubs.
Yeah, I knew that Pauly Shore, he comes out of that. He has his own, the weasel, and we've all, if you're in radio, if you're in anything, you have met Pauly Shore. You've been in the studio with Pauly Shore. And hell, I was in Miami covering Elian Gonzalez, the little kid that was found in an inner tube. And I was down in Miami for 11 days, and I had some audio. So they sent me to one of our affiliates, and I was showing up about 9 a.m. to deal with my audio and send it back to Atlanta. And it sure as hell, who's walking out of the radio station making a ton of noise? It's Pauly Shore. He had 4 of the sluttiest girls I have ever seen. He's getting into a limo. He's like got his T-shirt tied up here, and he's just a hot mess. And I'm like, and that's before I'd ever even interviewed him. I'm like, Pauly Shore, my God, the train wreck is real. But, maybe he didn't have a choice. Just, you grow up, your mother owns a comedy location like that that's world famous. Was she just bitchy and hard to deal with? And maybe that was some of his issues coming from her, because I know that some people had problems with her. Was she the problem or the comedians?
She was very firm and very mean, and she made and broke careers. She had gone through a divorce from her husband, Sammy Shore, who used to be Elvis Presley's opening act in Las Vegas. She got the Comedy Store in part of the, of course, this is well documented in a book, but she got the Comedy Store in the divorce settlement. And she never paid the comedians anything. That she considered it you worked there, you got free drinks, but you basically, you were performing there to get seen. And that was, then I think in 79, I think they were paying $15 a set, which was 10 or 20 minutes, and you make $15.
Wow. I mean, granted, I think back in 79, I might have been pulling in, I think the minimum wage was $2 something. So $15, I guess, for 20 minutes, decent money if you're looking, but it's not a career. It's a good night. And if you're drinking for free and eating for free, I guess, yeah, it wouldn't be the worst evening, but yeah, you're not going to make it on that money. Never, even if you're working 5 days a week. So that's brutal. I wasn't aware of that. So for you, you're being seen and you're going up. Did you have a relationship with any of these guys, a friendship?
You know, comedians are very strange characters. A lot of them are always worried about certain people getting getting more attention than them, and it's very competitive. I got to know several people. Sam Kinison became a friend, and Carl LeBeau, who was his right-hand man, I used to know them. And it also depended on if you were at the Comedy Store on Sunset Strip or the Comedy Store in Westwood. They looked down upon one at Westwood, because that wasn't the original.
Oh, wow.
My manager, I had no money, and I was making very little, so he got me a job watering plants at the L'Hermitage Hotel and the Le Parc Hotel. And these were like 2 Beverly Hills hotels, and I would water plants from like 6 in the morning till 10 in the morning, and I made like $5 an hour doing that. So I was able to, and I lived in a place with 3 other people, so other guys trying to be comedians, so we were able to pay our rent and stuff like that. But
well, it sounds like it had to have been a blast. Now, was there a lot of fun out there for you sexually? I mean, were you getting yours?
Well, I was getting mine. I was doing all right. The good thing about it is people will actually want to go out with you just because you're Southern, just to hear you talk. Because we have out there we sound completely different, and a lot of the girls I think would give me like a little sympathy because they thought that I was slow.
It's all right. Tell her you're a slow lover. It's going to last an hour. Or while you third base me, I'm going to talk, and you listen to me, and you get turned on, and that'll work for me. I like it.
My favorite, the old 68 joke.
Yeah, man.
You know what a 68 is, right?
No, I was about to ask. I know what 69 is, so you got to tell me. This will be something I might add to my arsenal of jokes on drink 7 in a bar. So what's the 68?
68's where she gives you a BJ and you owe her one. 68.
I like it. No, so this is more of a Bangkok kind of joke, right?
Yeah.
So she's got breasts, but she's got a Dugan. I get it. All right. Bangkok. I like it. I've seen Hangover. I know. We climaxed together. I know. I got you. So one thing that Brett Barney,
mother a-hole.
Oh. So one thing Brett Barney told me in booking you, my co-host, is that, you wrote for these shows. That's the first thing he wrote. And he knew that would hook me, especially when he said Love Boat. So, and Brett, feel free to join in at this point. I'm dying. I know that Brett's entertained at the moment. What, you never watched The Love Boat, did you, Brett? I mean, you never did.
So I feel like a jackass. I've never seen an episode of this.
I figured.
And, I mixed it up with Fantasy Island. I was like, Love Boat's the one with the guy that's like, the plane.
No. This is the one with Captain Steubing. And you had whatever her name was on the Lido deck, and you had Gopher, and you had the bartender. Isaac, the bartender. Then you had the doctor who was the total perv. Yeah. So you wrote for a season or for one episode, or how did that work?
Okay, back in the late 70s and early 80s, this was in 81, the Writers Guild required all television shows to hire independent writers for at least 2 to 3 episodes a year. So they had their writing staff, and then if you were wanting to be a writer, you would submit stuff. So I submitted like a 15-minute teleplay of which basically was, there's usually 4 stories in one, and I wrote one of them. One of the stories.
Okay. You're talking about the storylines in an episode where maybe Isaac's ex-girlfriend from high school is on the boat. She's hitting on him. He's pouring drinks. The husband doesn't know. Or Captain Stubing's niece is in trouble and he's freaking out, or his daughter, or whatever. I got you.
Yeah, that's what I did. I got lucky. And
all right. What did that pay? That had to pay, right?
Between 9 and 11,000.
Wow. For 15 minutes of writing one storyline.
Yeah.
All right, that's not bad, bro. Wow. What happens when that particular episode plays? Do you get a residual?
No, that ran out. Number one, I wasn't a staff writer, and it was a one-time thing. And I knew several people that they would write little things for certain things to make money.
Okay. Well, that was a cruncher. That had to be a good night when that check came.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Oh, it didn't come all at one time either, though. It was spread out over 3 months. So, it was spread out it's actually over 4 months over the season. So I would get like a check, every month for like 4 months.
Okay. Well, I assume maybe you were an athletic man back in the day. You're living in LA. You're 2 hours from the snow. You're probably, half an hour, 45 minutes from the beach, depending on traffic. What were you into? Were you roller skating? Were you surfing? Were you snow skiing? What was your thing?
I was not a snow skier. I went up to Big Bear, and I've been to Tahoe and stuff like that. But I went to the beach a lot. I like going to Venice to look at people. I just, I was out there to try to do comedy, and that pretty much comedy, working and sleeping and drinking was pretty much all I did.
Well, I like the drinking part. The Yeah Come On show salutes all drinkers. I don't care. Thank you. If you want to actually come off the wagon, this is the show to do it on. If you think for any reason you have been absent, you've been a good boy, you've stopped drinking, this is the show you start drinking again. We'll take you. Or if you're a social drinker, which is what I am, or you're a binger like Brett Barney, my co-host.
There's nothing wrong with being a binger.
No, not at all.
Nothing at all.
No. So you wrote for the Love Boat, one of the storylines of the four for a basic half-hour program, if I remember correctly. Love Boat was half.
It was an hour show.
Was it an hour? Okay. All right, hour-long show. And the cool thing, Brett, is all the actors of the day from different shows. Like, you would see the guy playing Aquaman that also was on Dallas or whatever. He's on the Love Boat. And then you've got WKRP's receptionist. She's on the Love Boat. Any mainstream actor, it was like their fun thing to go on the Love Boat and play a role and be somebody, or maybe even in some cases be themselves. But that was the cool thing. You always, had the famous people, and they might be on another show, maybe even on another network. A lot of times it was the same network, but it was just a lot of fun to see who was on the Love Boat.
The good thing about it also is I also was able to get extra work during filming I would have to put on a white suit and grab a suitcase and be walking on the boat. Like whenever you see everybody getting off the boat, I was in several scenes doing that. Never said a word, but I would make my $15 to $30 a day sitting around, and they would film me walking on the boat with other tourists.
That's cool. I mean, I would love to sit with you and watch some episodes. Yeah, that's me right there. Yep, that's me. That's me.
The thing about it now is they cut out so much crap you can't ever. I never. I'll go, hey, wait a minute, I think I'm on that one. No, wait a minute.
Well, move on to now another one I watched. I was an Archie Bunker fan. I liked Archie Bunker, but Archie Bunker's Place, that was where Archie was, if I'm correct, without Edith and had a kid, a niece or something.
Yes, and he owned the bar. He bought a bar. Bought a bar. I actually I wrote like a 30-minute episode to that and sold it, but they never filmed it. It got canceled.
No.
Yeah.
Damn it. So you didn't get any money?
No money.
Oh, hell. And then let's move over to The Nanny. Now, I thought she was hot. I thought she was hot, and I'm trying to think what she was in. It wasn't remember where she was sleeping with the guy in the back of the van in the 50s movie?
New Bomb Turk. It came out in 1980. That movie, Hollywood Nights.
Boomsy. Hollywood Nights, the ending of the 50s. New Bomb Kirk was a guy that was in the right place at the right time. He was the last of his kind. He finally gets Fran Drescher in the back of a van, and she's willing to have sex, and she's like, come on, hit it. Let's do it. And he can't get it up. Oh.
No, he's a two-pump chump. He finishes before he starts.
Oh, I thought he couldn't get it up. Oh, he did that. Oh, that's gross.
Yeah.
Wait.
It's been a while. It's been 40 years since I saw the movie, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
But she was hot. You know, you love the body, you hated the voice, but the voice made her. So in The Nanny, now you wrote for The Nanny, correct?
What happened in 1993, I had moved back from LA 9 years earlier. I moved back to Birmingham. I'd gotten married. I had a kid on the way. And I had a friend of mine that was a cinematographer in LA that's wife happened to work on Mad About You and The Nanny. She was like a production engineer person. So I submitted a couple of, she took me to filming, and then she asked me if I could write anything. So I wrote a couple of scripts for it, and both of them they liked them. But one of them, they filmed some of it, but then they changed all my stuff. So I got a writing credit, but I didn't get a writing credit.
Did you get money?
Huh?
Did you get money?
A little bit, not much. I made more 9 years earlier than I did then.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that was cool. So now where do we find you now in life? Because those are some cool experiences. Just to be out in LA and giving it a shot and going for it. You know, like I said, we've talked about Sam Kinison, Andrew Dice Clay, you know, Howie, Mandel, people that you were on the bill with. You're on the marquee. You opened up. You got paid crappy. But then the next thing you know, you're doing some writing, and you're doing whatever you got to do, being an extra. So you dabbled. You were on the fringe, but was it a great experience? Are you glad you did it?
Yeah, I did. I had a good time. I'd come back in '85 for my brother's bachelor party. He was getting married, and we had like some professional entertainment at the bachelor party, and over at this apartment complex. And these nurses down the hall called the police on the bachelor party, and I ended up meeting one the next day, and then like 9 months later, I married her.
Whoa!
Yeah, she's a retired nurse from UAB now, but I ended up going back to LA, getting all my stuff and coming back. And basically I gave up comedy, and then I taught school and coached for 30 years.
Okay. Where did you, what did you teach? You're just one of like a high school coach where you had to teach a subject?
Yeah, high school health. I taught driver's ed. I taught special ed. I taught pretty much marketing. I did that, and I retired like from that 3 years ago. And I never looked back on doing the comedy thing except in '93 when I went back out there. But the owner here in town would call me every once in a while and ask me if I wanted to do any comedy, and I wouldn't. But back in 1983, they opened up their first comedy club in Birmingham above a Chinese restaurant in a motel, and I was the first comedian to ever perform there. I was there with a comedian named Michael McDonald and one named Diane Ford, and of course James Gregory came through there, Sinbad, Steve Harvey.
Is that the same Michael McDonald from Mad TV?
Probably is. Yes, it is. Yeah, I think so.
He was in Austin Powers and all that. And
yeah, I think so. Yeah, and but now I just about 3 years ago I retired from teaching, and I'm bored laying around, and my dog had surgery, and my buddy Gary Cargill, who I was a fraternity brother with in Alabama, asked me if I wanted to. He's on this Southern Mama tour, and he asked me if I wanted to film a video, and I said sure, why not? So I filmed a couple of videos with him, and then he asked me if I wanted to do stand-up again, and he had a gig at somewhere out in Stone Mountain, and asked me if I wanted to go out and try, and I said, well, I'll go out. And then I went out there and bombed, and it pissed me off. So when I got back to Birmingham, I called up the owner of the comedy club and said, "Hey, I'm getting back into it." So he booked me 3 years ago for a couple nights.
Wow.
So I'm back doing it. I got a show tomorrow night. It's called The Best of Birmingham. And I'm in Arkansas, representing Alabama in the heart of the Heartland comedy competition in Arkansas. And then I'm in Biloxi in September. So I got a few things going. So.
Well, I tell you what, well, now that we know where you are now, we're going to take a break on the Yeah Come On show. I just want to thank you for being on. I'm a big fan of anybody that was out there, getting it done or putting their ass on the line. And I think you're a great guest for the Yeah Come On show. And Ernie, I really appreciate you being here. We'll be right back with more Ernie. Can't wait to see where it goes from here now that your comedy career is kicked back off with Southern Mama, because we want to talk to you about that as well. And Brett will have some questions. But right now, this is a break with David Markwell, one of our fine sponsors of the Yeah Come On show. It's Ridgeline Counseling.
You can reach us at 770-993-9700, or you can email us at ridgelinecounseling@gmail.com. Currently, we're offering telemental services through video and phone platforms, and in a few weeks we'll be transitioning back to in-person office visits. In the meantime, stay safe. We'll get through this. Yeah, come on.
Special thanks to Dave Markwell of Ridgeline Counseling. I'll tell you, Ernie, if you ever start to get on the rocks with your nurse, this guy's great with marriage counseling. Or relationship counseling, which Brett needs, because Brett tends to get women hooked into him to the point they're saying, "I love you." He takes them on trips with his mama, and then later he and his mama both break up with them, and they need help. But also, you got a hyperactive kid. I was one. I'm sure, Ernie, you were a hot mess because you don't do comedy, you don't do radio unless you had some damn issues and were getting an C, D, or an F in conduct. So, again, get a hold of Ridgeline Counseling, 2 locations, Blue Ridge and Marietta. And, of course, special thanks to Circle 285, one of our sponsors. Circle 285, look, I'm telling you, get a quote from these guys. I did it. I'd been with my insurance company, I'll say it, State Farm, for like 18 years. And they saved me $750 a year and got me more coverage because I was a good person. So if you're a good person, you can get with an A company. They'll quote you. If it works for you, do it. And also oxygenfinancial.com, the fantastic Ted Jenkins. Money matters, big or small. Ted can lead you through those. So contact, again, oxygenfinancial.com. But we're back with Ernie Kennamer. And Ernie, a comedian, a writer, for several shows, which, again, impressed me. The Love Boat, Archie Bunker's Place, and The Nanny. And I love your hit and misses, but, man, you got to love The Love Boat because you got about 11 grand off of them. I'm going high. And I think you're a great guest for us. And now you're getting back into comedy. Brett Barney, my co-host, you can explain your relationship with Gary, but we know that it's kind of a troupe. It's kind of like Blue Collar TV, which got started with Jeff Foxworthy and then you got Ron White and, et cetera, and everybody got in. You get 4 comedians out on the road, and everybody kind of does their thing and then does their thing separately. I'm a huge fan of Southern Mama. I laugh at the videos. My wife thinks I'm crazy, but I laugh my ass off. I think this guy's great. But having Gary on and knowing they're kind of a little troupe, and you did some work with Gary, I think that's really cool because Southern Mama right now is popular. I'm watching the videos. So I think you getting back in, being a good old boy from Alabama is a good move. And, Brett, why don't you tell us about Gary? And also I'm going to put you on the spot, Ernie. Brett's going to have some questions for you. And some are actually, I got to tell you, last week, Brett, I'm still like reaming from your questions. I thought you were spot on. They were great questions, but every once in a while he tubes a guest, and you might get tubed, Ernie. I don't know.
I don't even know what that means, but I'm willing to try.
Well, it means he's going to make you look stupid as hell. You're going to be pissed, never talk to us again. You're going to tell people not to watch, or you're going to tell people, go to the Yeah Come On show. This guy took care of me.
Yeah.
Hey, he's one of my Bama brothers. I wouldn't do that to him.
No.
All right. This will be good then, Ernie. You're fine.
Yeah. Should I bend over now or what?
No bending over. This is going to be a lubricant. He's going to 68 you.
All right. So
Yeah, Yeah, you can owe me one. All right. No, so basically, first off, relationship with Gary was very organic. I actually saw him headline a show in Atlanta, and I knew the guy that was hosting it, and he brought me backstage, and I ran into Gary, and we talked, and then we smoked a joint together and became good friends. I didn't even know until I met you that he was a fellow Alabama guy. I had no idea. I was like, oh, you're going to be our first fellow Bama alum guest. But I guess we had Gary. So, and Steve can pretend all he wants to be about Alabama, but his wife's an Auburn chick, and he's full of crap. So
she is. So, my nephew's at Alabama. My brother and my mother are right about 45 minutes away from Auburn in Opelika and Jackson's Gap. So, I got a little Alabama in me now. Didn't have it before, and I married Alabama, so every time we have sex, I got a little Alabama in me then too, because she straps on.
Did you ever hear of the comedian out of Boston named Lenny Clark?
No?
He's been in all the Jim Carrey movies. He plays different characters and stuff. He actually married an Auburn girl after performing at the comedy club in Birmingham back in the 80s.
Dude, when you know, there's something about those women.
She was also in the Girls of Southeastern Conference in Playboy, so that might have helped a little bit with that.
Yeah, I dabbled in that area too, but there's a little bit of crazy there. You don't marry crazy, you date crazy. You have sex with crazy. You try not to bring crazy to your house, but if she's hot, you don't give a shit and you still do it. But, you don't marry it.
Yeah, I had my share of crazies back in the old days. We had a bunch of chuckle fuckers back in the old days. That's what they called girls that would, there was all kinds of names for girls that hit on comedians.
So girls that take it in the butt, we call them different names.
So I got to ask, based off of what you just said, I need to start prying in. You worked at the Comedy Store, which is like the mecca for comedy in my mind. And there's so many shows based off of it, which I'm going to ask you about the TV show, if you've seen it or not. I'm dying up here.
Love that show. And
is that realistic? Like, it's Jim Carrey wrote it, or he's one of the writers.
He was one of the producers.
Or producers, that's it.
It is close to the way it was and it's actually a few years earlier than when I got there, but it is dead on. Especially the part where her ex-husband shows up and he says, well, I'll let you go on. He goes, I got a bunch of agents coming. So she lets him follow Richard Pryor. So then he goes into the office and beats her ass. And that's probably happened in real life, kind of a takeoff on Sammy Shore, Pauly Shore's dad, But yeah, it was pretty accurate with them not giving him any money, and she basically decided on who got to go on Carson or the Mike Douglas show or all the shows.
Wow,
I love that show though.
Was she the type, if she knew, like, if you were, like, say, kissing her ass, you're trying to butt up to her a little bit, did she pick up on that? I mean, did she just have to like you? It wasn't what you said to her. She had to dig you, or did you have to kiss up just a little bit, or just take orders from her?
Yeah, she was tough to deal with. She would come in, and she had her parking spot in the back. I don't remember if it was a Rolls Royce or a Bentley, but that's what she drove. And she actually owned a house up above the Comedy Store where she put her favorite comedians. And I wasn't one of them, but Letterman actually lived there at one time. And Yakov Smirnoff, the Russian comedian, he was an expert on fixing anything. He liked to fix anything, but he lived up there. Sam Kinison lived up there for a while. But she would put her favorite comedians in the house for free.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you ever have people like Robin Williams or any of those guys rolling through? Oh,
all the comedians, we loved seeing famous people unless we were booked that night. They would come in, and if you had say I had a 10 o'clock spot, Robin Williams showed up at 8. Next thing I know, he's done an hour, and he's bumped everybody else back an hour and a half. And if you've already got another show booked somewhere else, it messes that up. So he would cost comedians would see him come into, they knew he was going to go an hour because he didn't have nothing to talk about. He'd just go for an hour. He would just destroy the room, and you didn't want to go on after him.
No.
Hey, Robin Williams, thank you for coming. Hey, come on up here, Ernie.
No. I got somewhere to be. I know I do.
Yeah, I'm gonna start my lawn job early. I'm gonna go water those plants early. But no, the famous people came through all the time. I actually met Rick Springfield one time, right as he was on the TV show General Hospital as Dr. Noah Drake, and he had just had the hit song Jesse's Girl come out. And I actually hung out with him, and he was the coolest guy I'd ever met in my life.
Well, he was so on fire. I remember that moment too, and he had a movie come out later. He did a couple of movies. But you're right, being a rock star and being the good-looking doctor on a soap opera, that was like next to a David Cassidy. He was killing it.
Or Leif Erikson, those were the big ones.
Yeah, Leif Garrett, had his moment too. He had that look, and he had he's like 15 and he's already got a lover living with him at his mom's house. And you're like, what the hell? These kids have zero structure, man.
Yeah, but different people would come through all the time, though.
That's cool.
So with all those people rolling through, and as like you said, you've watched I'm Dining Up Here, you said it's very realistic. They touch on not only the comedy and the struggle to become a comedian and some of the successes in the show, but also drugs, because it is LA, it is the 70s, the 80s. What kind of drug use were you seeing? Are you able to say any certain names?
Well, I was pretty much, I've been an athlete, so I wasn't I would drink all day long, but I wasn't much of a drug user. I might smoke a little weed every once in a while, but I tried pretty much your amphetamines, but some cocaine, junk like that, but I was not much of a drug user. But I think I might have told you that on the night that John Belushi died, him, Robin Williams, and Robert De Niro came into the comedy store looking for drugs. And
oh, really?
And that was the night. And the next day, they made the announcement about Belushi being found dead. So
you saw him the last night he was alive, and whatever drugs they found put him in his grave.
No, I don't think they found any drugs there. I think he ran into this. They put him in touch with this woman who was the dealer, and she gave him like a hot shot or something of something. That's what I understand. I don't know.
Wow.
That was he had been in the Comedy Store the night before, and that was a big deal. That was huge.
Oh, no, yeah. That screwed up a lot of people, I mean, you had Blues Brothers, the SNL, all the movies he was doing. I mean, that dude, I don't know where it would have ended, but it ended too soon.
His poster is still on every college dorm room wall.
Yes.
His picture.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was known as the Belushi of my fraternity. I would smash the can and drink and gator, and I mean that was just common,
Crap your pants.
I hadn't done that, well, not lately, but in a while. But I could.
You never know.
Yeah, I'm in a man. I don't even have to tell anybody now.
Well, I tell you, if all three of us do it at the same time right now and prove it, we'll go down in podcast history. I just don't know where your heads are today.
I'd have to work one up right now. I think I've had a pretty my diet has been really bad lately. Trying to lose some weight.
I'd get your ass off the couch before you do it.
Yeah.
I just hammered a double cheeseburger.
Oh, Brett's ready. He's ready.
You're liable to hike during the middle of this. I don't know what a fart sounds like on radio, but I'm sure it's very interesting.
Oh yeah, I've done it. It's actually pretty cool. But I will tell you, out of everything right now, the Love Boat, riding, getting paid, and seeing Belushi the last night, he was out knowing he was trying to score what would later kill him. Those are 2 home runs, man. That right there is pretty intense. good stuff.
Well, thank you.
I mean, bad stuff, but you know what I mean. It's like you were there for a moment that affected everyone. And I still say Love Boat affected everyone because anybody in the right age watched the Love Boat.
I had a crush on the cruise director. I mean, Lauren Hughes. I think she ended up having a drug problem herself. I think
everybody did. Everybody did. Brett Barney, do you have a drug problem do you? I don't even know.
I think you've already discussed my binge drinking issues.
Yeah, you're an alcoholic. I can handle that. Yeah, you're good. You're good.
But I mean, you're saying some of the negatives. I know one of the things that we talked about was the night that you spent with Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey didn't have a car. This is about 1982, and he had just signed a TV deal to star in a TV series called Duck Soup or something. It was he played like a person that did comics, like drew comics or something. And I don't know how but he needed a ride, and I had this accordion car where the trunk was held down with a chain because I'd gotten run into, and he needed a ride to his girlfriend's. So, and I knew him, I'd met him, he was a nice guy, but he was just, all he did at the time was impressions. He did nothing else, just different impressions. He did a great Ernie from My Three Sons impression, which is actually where I got my nickname. My real name is not. Ernie's my nickname. So, but he needed a ride to his girlfriend, so I give him a ride, and I'm going through these gates in Bel Air, and he goes up, rings the little thing, it's Jim, and she goes, and they opened it up, and I drove him up, and he got out, and it was Linda Ronstadt.
Damn.
He was dating Linda friggin' Ronstadt. I said,
did not tell you that.
I go, can I come in? And then he goes, no. I go, I want to meet Linda Ronstadt. I was a huge fan.
Oh my God, that's rock star. She would have been older than him.
Oh, yeah, because he was like 22 maybe at the time.
Yeah.
Very young. And she was probably 30 maybe.
Yeah, I was going to say she's up there. I would say she's at least 10 to 12 years older than me, or I don't know. I mean, I just think she was such a thing early on when I was in grade school. So I'm going to say she was at least 10 plus older than him for sure.
Yeah, at least 10, I think. But I'd seen her in concert when I was in college in '78 at Alabama, and I'm going, wow, that's Linda Ronstadt. And then their house, and he won't even let me go in.
Damn, he had that going on then, because he wasn't that big of a deal. That's before living in living color and everything, right?
Jim had not exploded. I mean, he actually got to the point where he would go on stage and wouldn't do any impressions, and he would do stand-up just to piss people off.
Oh.
And Sam Kinison was his buddy, and they loved it. I mean, Sam Kinison would just egg him on. Don't give up. Just keep doing what you're doing, And then he started being a great comedian, but he also still did the voices and the other things. But I actually used to look like Ernie from My Three Sons. That's why I'm called Ernie.
All right.
I've been called that since I was 12 years old.
Brett, if you don't know the Love Boat, you definitely don't know My Three Sons in the little shoes. Na, 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 na. Yeah.
The show one of the shows I used to work on, we used to do this segment. We called it Millennial Mondays. And I would come in the studio and they'd play 5 theme songs to like old shows or movies or quotes or something like that. And I'd have to guess what the show or the movie or the song was. I never got any of these right. And it's all these shows I've never heard of. I was pretty much just saying MASH every time. That's MASH. MASH. MASH.
MASH the TV series lasted 8 more years than the actual war.
Yeah. That's true. Very good.
I do have this kind of almost like a 3-part question.
Sure.
But it's all pretty much based off the same thing. I'm curious as to who you think the greatest comedian of all time is, who's the greatest comedian you've ever seen live, and who's the greatest comedian you've ever shared a stage with.
Richard Pryor to me is the greatest of all time. Him or Red Fox. Let's see, that was the most famous one I've ever shared a stage with would probably be Sam Kinison or probably Dice Clay or Steve Harvey. There's a female right now who's the hottest comedian in the country, female comedian that I worked with last year named Leanne Morgan out of Knoxville, Tennessee. And she's selling out everywhere, and she's one of my favorites. And what was the last one? What was the?
Who's the greatest comedian you've seen live?
My favorite comedian of all time is Sam Kinison. Hence Bill Hicks also live. Red Fox, I saw him at the Hacienda Hotel in '82. He was in the main room. I was in the lounge. And on the marquee, it said Red Fox. At the very bottom, it said Ernie Kennamer in the lounge. And it was a cash show. You know, they'd pay you cash based on people that came in. Gosh almighty. I like a lot of them nowadays, but I just think it's so different now. There was a comedian named Ollie Joe Prater. Did you ever heard of Ollie Joe Prater?
I heard the name.
Ollie was about 400 pounds. Of course, he with a beard, yeah. He would drink a bottle of Crown every night. Ralphie May was very funny. I love Ralphie May. I think Ralphie May, the genius of Ralphie May is now, right now he would be one of those guys that would be he would be telling everyone to go to hell, and if you don't like it, go screw yourself. He would do black jokes, white jokes, Chinese jokes. It would not matter to him.
No, I dig that too because I was friends with Ralphie.
Great guy too.
Yeah,
a couple times. I never worked with him.
Oh,
I've seen him live. God, there's just been tons of them. Through the years. First comedian I ever saw live, big name, was Bill Cosby, and that was in Lake Tahoe. His opening act was Debbie Reynolds.
Okay.
Yeah, like Princess Leia's mama.
Yeah.
And I saw Bill Cosby do a clean show, and that was my first time to see, in a giant arena. I had all of Rudy Ray Moore's albums and Richard Pryor's albums and Steve Martin albums from the 70s, but I never got to see any of them live except maybe Richard, but most of the time I saw him were in small venues though, because he was making lots of money, but he would do small venues.
Weren't you part of his biggest selling album?
I was there where they filmed it, yes.
For Live on Sunset Strip?
He actually walked off the stage the one night. I don't remember what night of the week. The place was packed. He was not feeling good. He cut one, and he goes, "I just don't got it tonight," and he left. He says, "Y'all show back up tomorrow night." Everybody came back the next night, and he was absolutely the best thing I'd ever seen in my life. I think his opening act was Patti LaBelle or somebody like that. Did some they were called LaBelle at the time. They sang and stuff like that.
That's cool.
Yeah. She was not on her own at the time. But that was back in 82, 80. It just runs together, man. I'm 64. I don't know how old are you, Southside?
I'm 55. So I was a junior in high school in 82, senior in 83. So I was unleashed to the world pretty much prime time by about 85. I was in one of those high school relationships with what, was considered one of the top 3 girls in our school. So I kind of held on to that longer than I should have. And then once unleashed, I experienced the nightlife. I was done with that boyfriend, girlfriend crap and didn't settle down until I was 47. So I waited.
Wow. I once saw Mitzi Shore tell Jerry Seinfeld that he wasn't funny.
Ooh. Jerry, the show was funny.
Yeah.
And his one-liners were pretty good, but Jerry's not my type of comedian. I don't find him that funny. I don't, but at the show, if it's just dry enough or situational enough, that's hilarious. You know, so it worked. But just to go see him do stand up, I was an Eddie Murphy guy.
I love Eddie Murphy too. The character of George Costanza, of course, was based on Larry David.
Yeah.
And of course, the character of Elaine was based on Carol Leifer, the comedian who used to date Jerry. And she's a very lady. Yeah, I heard her in her little old voice go, "You're just not that funny." That's how talk, you know, kind of, "Just not that funny." And he just kept plowing away, though. You know,
good for him.
Yeah.
Well, I know one thing about comedy is being relatable to crowds that you deal with. You know, like if you're a New York comedian, you can't go to Iowa and talk about being on the subway. That doesn't work. What are some situations where you've traveled around the country where you've noticed like you've had to work your stand up to relate in a certain way to the crowds of that night?
Yeah. Back in the 80s, I was more of like an edgy comedian, you know. I would have like 10 points that I wanted to talk about and go with it from there. I can't think of anything where I had to change anything around a lot because being from the South, I talked a whole lot about the South. And I think with my delivery, I was able to convince the people where they got where I was coming from. Now I'm so freaking old that everything I talk about deals with what's happening to my body and being old. And, you know, I do a lot of Viagra and erectile dysfunction type jokes now. Probably right up everybody's alley. But
There you go.
I do several. I've got like 7 in a row in 1 minute. Boom, boom, like a Rodney Dangerfield type thing, you know, just over and over again. A lot of clubs don't like that. They want you to be real edgy and stuff like that. I go, hey, people are laughing. That's all I care about. You know, I don't, you know, I was edgy back when I was edgy. I'm not edgy no more. You know, I'm just.
What's the difference between bombing and success?
Woo. Tell you what, if I go to, you know success because people will be, you have to give them a chance to finish laughing before you start your next joke. You got to let them finish. So, you know, if you're not careful, you know, you can go along, they'll be laughing and not even hear you do the next line. That's success. Bombing is when you've got new material or old material that you've kind of rehashed and you go into where no one really knows who you are or ever heard of you, and you do your thing and you don't care whether you're funny or not. You're just wanting to test it out. And if you bomb, you bomb. You know, everybody bombs. I mean, I've never not known a comedian that hadn't bombed. And that's to me is what upsets me about all the internet comedians. Most of those people got famous on videos, and then they decided that they were comedians. Someone said, okay, we can make some money by putting you on the road, even though you've never actually bombed or you've ever been to a club and had to drive 3 hours to work for 10 minutes and without getting paid. And a lot of them are successful because of the internet. It's a totally different world. It was not like that back then. You had to fight for stage time. And if you were in LA, you had 3 places to go. You had the Laugh Stop in Encino, the Comedy Store, and the Improv. That was it. And you had a club that opened up in Atlanta, the Punchline, probably 82. You had Zanies opened up in 83 up in Nashville. And most clubs, then you had several up in New York and Boston, but you either went to Boston, New York, or you went to LA back then. That's where you had to cut. Yeah.
So I have to ask you, because you've mentioned, like, I don't know how your memories, like, I've seen this guy at this place this year, and I've seen this, and I'm 31, and I couldn't tell you. It's like, I think I saw Blink 182 on the Warped Tour. Couldn't tell you what year, but, like, I don't know. You know, I don't know how you remember some of that stuff. Going from comedians to music, because Steve knows tons of musicians. What's the best concert you've seen, like, or anything along the lines of music-wise?
First concert I ever went to was Sills and Croft, and with Henry Gross opened for him. The second concert I saw was Aerosmith, and that was right after, I guess, Sweet Emotion came out. I was still in high school, like 73. Saw Chubby Checker in 76. In 1981, I was at in Los Angeles, and I saw the Rolling Stones, George Thorogood, Jay Giles, and the opening act was a guy named Prince, and they booed him. You know,
Damn.
he did
Big
like
mistake.
10 minutes. 1981, though, no one knew who he was. Rick Springfield. I saw a Bee Gees concert one time, and I think I told you this yesterday, and during the Staying Alive song, John Travolta was in the audience and came out on stage, and he was dressed in all black with a beard, and he did his dance, and at the time he was filming Urban Cowboy, and he just came into LA for the concert.
Oh, that killed. That had to been awesome.
He shows up in Vegas every once in a while and does the song with Olivia Newton-John from Grease. He'll go on stage and they'll do the Summer Lovin' or one of those songs. In about 88, I happened to be in Houston, Texas, and I went and saw the Fat Boys, Run DMC, LL Cool J. That was pretty cool. I'd never been to supposedly a rap concert before. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I was a big fan of Run DMC and the Fat Boys. I liked it, and then after that, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Not a hip hop guy.
I remember when Grandmaster Flash and that song came out and Rapper's Delight. I'm going, what the hell is this?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. And then like a week or two later, I hear Blondie doing the song called Rapture, and she's rapping in Rapture. I'm going, what the hell is going on with music?
Yeah.
And then you'd see the group singing Rock Lobster, and I go, hey, now there we go. I can do with that. Rock Lobster.
I have to ask you finally, from one Alabama guy to another Alabama guy. My first year at Alabama was Nick Saban's first year, so I got to live through all of that. I know that you were well before me. Were you there during the Bears time?
I was there 77 through 1980, and we lost 2 games while I was in school.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and I had transferred from the University of South Carolina in 77, and I was an athlete at the time. I know that looking at me now, but I was actually a basketball player, and I was an invited walk-on, and I ended up missing my walk-on stuff. But my first course at Alabama was coaching football, and it was at the in Memorial Coliseum called Coleman Coliseum. And every morning, 3 days a week at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, I would walk by, and Bear Bryant's office was right there, and I just peer in there and look at him. And his first quarterback at Alabama had been from my hometown of Scottsboro, so every once in a while I would talk to him about that. But I never got my picture made. I never got an autograph. I just never thought nothing about it. I thought, that's Bear Bryant.
Dude, that's so cool. That is so cool.
He passed in 83. I was out in Los Angeles, and a friend of mine, a comedian friend, goes, man, I'm sorry about the Bear. I go, what are you talking about? Well, he died. I go, no, he didn't. They just said he was doing better. He goes, no, you got to see the news reports. So then he took me to a bar, and I proceeded to shut it down for the next few hours, because that affected Alabama people differently than, that's like losing, a parent,
No, that's a trip that you had that relationship and you were there for those golden years, man. You don't have much to be sorry for, dude. You've done some cool things, I mean, when you could drop Jim Carrey off at 22 at Linda Ronstadt's house in Bel Air to get laid and asked to go in and be told no, I mean, that's great, dude. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. That's a story you got to tell wherever and whenever you are. We all got a couple of those. That's fantastic.
I got a lot more, but I just can't even think about them right now. You know,
Well, you can always be a return guest on the Yeah Come On show. One thing we like to do for our guests, we call it a cigarette break. It's something that Brett and I like to do because we appreciate you guys coming on. And we've got some loyal followers, you know, people that dig what we're doing, and we're hoping to get new ones after this show. But how can people find you, Ernie? Because now that you're kind of getting back into the comedy thing again, so how can they find you on social media?
I have a comedy page on Facebook called Ernie Kennamer Comedy Page. And I will, on that page, I put my dates that I have coming up, where I'll be performing. Also, on that same site, have all my videos that I've done with Gary Cargill. Gary Cargill and I have done all these Coach Croker videos, Croker. I've done 11 of those, and a couple of baseball, most of them are football, shopping videos. You can go to YouTube and put in Coach Croker. You can also go, and some of them you can put in Ernie Kennamer and they'll come up. But on Facebook, I have all mine on my comedy page. And
so Ernie Kennamer, you're not really doing the Twitter or Instagram. It's just go to your comedy page on Facebook.
Right, I'm so technologically impaired when it comes to this stuff. I don't tweet. And I don't Instagram. I do have Instagram, which I put stuff on, but I don't do the snappy chats or you know.
Ernie, be honest. Do you have a landline and this is a paperweight? I mean,
I don't even. What is that?
Bring the glasses closer.
I love it, man. You know what? There's nothing wrong with that at all. But again, thank you for being on the Yeah Come On.
I got rid of my landline last year.
Dude, I had a landline until 2016, 17. I just had it, you know, and I was using it for my AT&T, and I'm like, what the hell, man? I kept it. And then I was like, I got on the cable, baby, and I nixed it. I'm a cell phone man now, so I'm with you. It's different. I just want to thank you personally for being on the Yeah Come On show. And before we mention our fine sponsors, Brett, did you have any other questions for Ernie?
I have one last question for you, Ernie. How do you go from writing TV shows to stand-up comedy to now making breakfast food?
I don't do the cooking now. I just own the restaurant.
So it's a Flying Biscuit, right?
Yeah, Flying Biscuit Cafe. We own the franchise rights for Alabama. We have our first restaurant. And we go, what can we do during a pandemic? Hell, let's open a restaurant. Let's get fucked with really good.
So you just opened a Flying Biscuit?
Yeah, we opened in March. Opened in October, and then in March it all hit. We have one in Birmingham, and we're actually got 3 more locations right now that we're looking at.
Well, congratulations, dude. I love their breakfast. You know, I dig it. That's good stuff. I mean, that's one of my favorite places to eat, and I know George McCarroll real well. So
I don't really know George, but the CEO of the company, he was trying to get us to buy the one that is over in East Cobb, and we just didn't want to be that far away because it's real hard to find people you trust to run a restaurant.
Oh, tell me about it. I owned a Smokey and the Bandit themed bar that was all my dream.
Yeah.
It called it Southside Steve's, and I opened it like you at a wrong time. I was working on it in 2008 and opened it right before the bottom fell out. And my property was worth $1.4 million, and literally within 3 months, it was worth about $500,000.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, we're doing well. We were open from 6 in the morning to 9 at night, and we had entertainment 3 nights a week with music because I like music. So we would give all the local artists and bring people in, and they would play. We'd play, pay them a little bit of money, and but we've gone to like 7 to 3, 7 to 2 now, and we're doing really well. But it's
good. Well, congratulations. I think you will do well, dude. It's gonna take you up a notch. You're a long way from that 1979 money, baby.
Hey, I tell you what, in 1981, until you've had ketchup soup, you don't know what po is.
I got you.
I was poor for a while out there.
You know what? Right there with you, man. I'm a victim of a split level and above ground pool on the south side, so I feel you.
Yeah.
And by the way, it took a while to get the above ground pool. I don't even think we got a color TV till I was in the 10th grade. And then you find out the church is helping you out. So, you know, it's different. There's a lot of us that did struggle. So the struggle's real. You got to work hard to get what you want. But special thanks again, Ernie Kennamer, for being on the Yet Come On show. My co-host, Brett Barney, thank you very much, my brother. I hope we can all be in the studio soon. To Tyler Maynard back at our studios at Oxygen Financial in Alpharetta, thank you. And again, go to oxygenfinancial.com for your investments. Maybe you open up yourself a little flying biscuit, just like Ernie. Ernie just did it. Or you go to Circle 285 to get your insurance quoted, because trust me, don't pay too much, man. And you might even get better insurance. If you've totaled 5 cars and you've already turned in your house saying the roof burned and it didn't, you're not going to get a good deal. Don't call them. Don't call Circle 285. But also I want to thank Ridgeline Counseling as well, Dr. David Markwell. To Brett Barney, take care wherever you went. I hope you're taking a crap. Ernie, between you and I feel you. I feel you. Something happens to Brett, I'm calling. Take care.